Generic product development of oral solid dosage forms is the topic for the video, and in this video we are going to learn regarding different activities and stages of the pharmaceutical product development, mainly for the oral formulations. You can use this video or you can use these points for the other generic product development as well. It is not like that it is only for the oral solids, but I have included some points which are solely for the solid formulations. Let's start with the video. Generic product provide the advantage of cost to the patient, and that's why generic products are developed. Main aim of the generic product development is to develop a stable bioequivalent product for the patients. The generic product should be stable like the reference product or innovator product or the RLD, and also it should be pharmaceutically equivalent and therapeutically equivalent. And based on this requirement, the generic product is developed. Generic product, as like the reference product, should be safe and effective. Generic product is required to meet the quality parameters and it should comply all the regulatory requirements. Development of the formulations or generic formulations including the oral solids, oral liquids and many others follows the guidelines for quality, safety and efficacy. Many guidelines which are region specific, market specific are required to be met. Then ICH quality guidelines, US FDA quality guidelines and the EMA guidelines are essential for the product development for these markets. This video will give you the complete idea about the product development stages. Consider a development of ANDA for this video and you can relate this information to other markets also. Generic product development start with the product identification and market for the generic development. It start with literature search. Literature search is a very vast topic and it is to be done at every stage of the formulation development. Gather existing data from the pharmacopoeias for the monographs for APIs, excipients and other materials. Use USP, BP and European pharmacopoeia for these literature search. You can understand and study the FDA approvals, dissolution methods from these monographs and the standard literature like USP dissolution database and also from the OGD. Then active sourcing and evaluation. So we need to identify the API sources. We need to identify 2-3 API suppliers and their compliance with the regulatory standards is required. We need DMF grade materials for these markets like US market and A&D application. Then active purchasing and testing. Once you identify the sources, you can get APIs from them and you purchase APIs and conduct the thorough analysis of these APIs so that you can understand the quality of the APIs and other raw materials as procured. Then innovator product evaluation and API bulk testing. Innovator product is required to be tested. Different licenses are required for that. You identify the innovator. You identify the quantity required for development and bio studies or BE studies. And based on that, you can apply for the licenses and you can start purchasing of the innovator samples. Then analysis of the innovator samples is done. Then mainly the dissolution profiling is done in different medias to understand the product behavior. Then bulk API testing. Assess the API for polymorphism, particle size, impurity profile, and intrinsic stability of the API. Also, excipients are required to be evaluated based on to the innovator product and literature search. You need to purchase the excipients and conduct the compatibility studies to optimize the formulation stability. Prototype development is required to be started along with the excipient compatibility studies, and you need to make the batches and charge on the stability. That is R&D scale or R&D batches stability or lab batches stability. Then formulation and manufacturing process. It involves choosing the packaging material, meeting the regulatory standards, develop the container closure system, understand whether the R&D is in bottle pack or it is in blister pack, how it is stored, what is the shelf life, and is there any special pack for this R&D or not. Then manufacturing process evaluation. You can go for different processes for consider the tablet formulation or capsule formulation. Use the best process considering your API compatibility, API stability, and API degradation properties. You can go for direct compression, dry granulation, or wet granulation. Then API bulk purchasing and analytical testing. So source API supply and perform the analytical validation. You need to have the raw material testing procedures as well as the finished product testing procedures. Then the next step is the process optimization and bioequivalence. Once you have the prototype formulation, you have the stability, you can go for process optimization trials. For example, if you have selected the granulation process, optimize it for the granulation time, binder addition time like blending, then compression, film coating, and understand the process parameters. IVIVC correlation. Then we need to establish in vitro in vivo correlation for regulatory approval. This may be based on the pilot bioequivalence studies, or this may be based on the discriminatory dissolution development studies. Then scale up and process qualification. Documentation is required to do this activity of scale up and process qualification. Technology transfer is done. All the documents for scale up are prepared. Scale up batch results and manufacture the qualification batches. This is the next step. Then once you clear the scale up activities and you have the final process, final composition, then you go for the pivotal batch manufacturing or exhibit batch manufacturing, pivotal batches production, and ANDA submission. Pivotal production involves optimizing the production process and prepare the pivotal report. Then bioequivalence study. As per the requirement, as per the product specific guideline, label of the RLD, the bioequivalence studies are conducted considering the fasting fed conditions along with the reference product. The study may be parallel study or crossover study, that depends on to the product. Once these are completed, you have the you have the stability data of 6 months. You can go for the submission documentation. Pre-submission auditing to ensure compliance with CGMP guidelines before the ANDA is submitted. Then once you have submitted the documents, you will get the queries. Once you resolve the queries, you will have the uh, approval. Many of the times commercial validations are done, process validations are done, and based on that the commercial batches are manufactured after approval of the product. Sometimes the commercial scale validation batches are taken, and then the finalized process is done, and after that the commercial manufacturing is started. This is a short information about the solid oral formulation development or generic development. There are different stages in this, but to make the uh, video short, I have enlisted or I have taken here the main steps. The aim of generic product development is to develop a robust process, robust composition, bioequivalent composition, stable formulation for the market. Then many of the times different query response are required, different studies are required to be performed along with the bioequivalent studies. So these studies are performed, query response is done, and then the product get approved. So following these stages, you can ensure the generic product meets regulatory standards for safety, efficacy, and quality. You can use these information for your product development, whether it is oral solid formulation or liquid formulation or any other formulation. Always have deep understanding about the reference formulation and reference formulation behavior and critical quality requirements. Then only you can develop a good generic product. Thank you for watching the video, and you can uh, learn in this video or the channel videos in your native language. The subtitles you can have in your own language or the language you understand better. So I request you to go to that part of the channel, make subtitles in your regional language or native language so that you can have good understanding. Thank you for watching the